Senator Murray, I leave the hearing in your capable hands.
Thank you very much. Welcome to both of you. Let me just follow up quickly on Senator Bozeman's comments, because this is something that we all are very deeply concerned about. He's right. We talked a lot about veterans. We've also talked about service members. But late last year, the Army announced it's going to be implementing a public health approach to suicide prevention based on CDC guidance, including a new training program. Can you give us an update on the status of that training program and the regulations for the program?
Yes, Senator. We have begun implementing that new training program, and we've really tried to draw on the CDC sort of, scientifically driven strategies. And our vice chief, for example, has started doing a chain teach of some of that training to commanders all across the Army. We also, we are continually working with our Army Resilience Directorate on how we can improve our suicide prevention training. So we're really trying to look at that very carefully.
Okay, well, I would ask that you continue to update us on this. Obviously, it's an issue of concern to many of us.
Happy to.
Let me ask you this. Last week, I pressed Secretary Austin to provide more insight into what the DoD is doing to provide better housing and more oversight for our military families who are living in really terrible and, frankly, unacceptable conditions. In my home state of Washington, we are still seeing issues with the availability of suitable and affordable housing at Yakima Training Center and at Joint Base Lewis McChord. We have military families who they're already making a big sacrifice for our country, but they are essentially being forced to live without access to safe, affordable housing in order to serve our country. I just think that is wrong and backwards, and I really need the Army to be doing everything, and I mean everything, if possible, to get this fixed. And now, I understand the Army has a 10-year infrastructure plan, but that's a really long time when families need solutions right now. So can you share with me what more we're going to do to help families and improve oversight while that 10-year plan moves forward?
Certainly, Senator. A couple of things I would note here. This budget does include investment in barracks at JBLM, so that is something that we're moving forward on. On the family housing, I know when I visited JBLM last summer, I got an earful, frankly, about Lincoln and the privatized family housing, right. An earful, frankly. And so we really are trying to work closely. We have a couple of places in addition to JBLM. We've got Fort Gordon that has some challenges, Fort Leonard Wood that has some challenges. And we're really trying to work closely with the garrison commanders and the privatized housing companies that, build at those installations to try to get moving and improving family housing. One of the challenges I think we have is the whole issue of the rising construction costs and labor shortages. That is, in some cases, drawing out our ability to make as much progress as we would like to. But I would say our installation command is looking at this very carefully and really trying to be very aggressive. We will continue to work on the situation in Washington, and I would be happy to have my installations and Environment Assistant Secretary come and talk in detail about specifically what we're doing at JBLM.
Okay, well, can you tell me, are there problems with the policy or contracts around privatized family housing that stand in the way of our being able to get this right?
I think that our contracts are actually pretty aggressive in terms of the amount of oversight that they have in them. I was just actually talking to some of our housing experts yesterday. So I don't think that there are problems with the contracts per se, but I think it's just a challenging environment right now with construction costs and labor shortages. I don't think that we have contractual issues. We are, the Army made moves a couple of years ago to try to be much more aggressive in kind of holding the companies to account under the contracts and not giving them the incentive fees early, for example. And generally, I think that's been quite successful in getting the companies to do what they're legally obligated to do.
Okay, well, I would like my staff to follow up with yours on some of the issues that we're seeing.
Certainly.
This needs to be resolved.
Agree.
But to both of you, modernization of our forces and equipment is really a vital priority across all of our services. The Army, I know, has made important progress through Project Convergence. However, it still seems there's a long way to go until many of those capabilities are ready to be operational in the field outside of the testing environment. And I would like to know how you are balancing speed to get these systems to units while being confident that they will work as intended during a conflict.
Senator, I think we are trying to strike a good balance between speed and quality and surety of what we're investing in. Congress, you all have been very helpful in giving us new authorities to allow us to acquire systems more effectively. And we've been using them, for example, with the future vertical lift programs, for example, I think with some success. We've also been using them using our Rapid Critical Technologies Office to help us move more quickly than we usually do. I feel pretty confident that we are making good progress on a lot of these new systems, and we are learning a lot through Project Convergence. And this year, for example, we will be expanding the scope of Project Convergence to bring in operational units to use some of these new technologies. So they're not just in the laboratory. We are starting to use them out in the field, and you'll see something like, the long-range hypersonic weapon will actually be fielded in 23 in Washington State.
General?
I think one of the things we're doing, Senator, is we're as part of our strategy is using soldier touch points, and we're taking some of the best soldiers in the Army and some of the other services. We give them the equipment early on, and we take it out in really challenging places like Yuma when it's like 115 degrees, and they get to run around with it, and they have engineers there, and they come back and give us the information that we need to make sure it's a good system. And at least from where I'm at is we don't want to give anything to our soldiers that's not better than what they have, that's not safe, is not ready to go. Some of the systems are going to be what we call an alpha model. They're transformational. They're not exactly where we want them, but they're much better than what we have, and they have the ability to be improved very quickly with the type of strategy that we're using.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much to both of you.